Hey everyone, welcome back to Branded. At the time of this recording, we are approaching the holidays, and I wanted to talk about the idea of gratitude, but from an entirely different angle that perhaps you don't really think about too often. So today's episode is called Love the Process, Learning to Love the Process, and Your Clients Will Too. And this is the sort of like new little perspective that I wanted to share. Today's episode, I've been sitting on this idea for a little bit because this is something that I've been really trying to practice in my own business on a regular basis. And it's quite simply learning to love the process. Not the milestones, not the metrics, not just like the polished and perfect things, but the day to day movement that is building something really meaningful. The part that no one really talks about when it comes to, oh, I feel so grateful for the things I have. But the part that people don't really talk about is the fact that the gratitude that you express for your own journey is reflected back to you through your clients. Your clients will start to embody that same gratitude that you have for your own journey. And that scenario, everybody's winning. Right? Like you feel really grateful for the process. You're loving your own journey. The clients you're working with are loving their journey. They're feeling really grateful for the process. Like, hello, that's a huge win, right? Your energy becomes really contagious, and the people who you work with, they just automatically get inspired to slow down a little bit, breathe a little bit more, celebrate their own progress more. The problem is, as entrepreneurs, we tend to always be thinking about the next thing, the next client, the next launch, the next version of your brand that you're going to be rolling out. But when you're only measuring in this like what's done kind of, progress, not actually what's happening in your day to day, we end up turning this like dream that we had into a job that we feel obligated to keep. Like, no, thank you, right? I did not build a business because I wanted another job. I built this business because I wanted something that was a true reflection of the creative nature that I have, the people I want to work with, the time that I want to spend doing this work, right? You're the boss. And so you don't want to create this secondary sense of obligation with the brand that you're building. We forget that building our brand, it should be felt and enjoyed, not just executed. Like, this is a living, breathing thing that you're creating, and how you approach your own journey becomes contagious. When you operate from a place of, oh, I feel so behind all the time, guess what? Your clients start feeling that same kind of sense of pressure. If you're operating from a place of, well, I just don't feel ready yet, guess what? Your clients start operating from a place of fear also, because that's exactly what you're projecting. Your relationship with your own process sets the tone for your entire client experience. How often do you actually think about your client experience and throw yourself into the mix as one of the things that makes or breaks it? That's what this conversation is about. Because the thing is, you can't teach people how to trust themselves, right? That's an internal thing. But what you can do is you can show them how you learn to trust yourself and your business and your process. And when you start to trust that unfolding that's happening in front of you as your business is growing day to day, it will in turn inspire your clients to slow down, get intentional, and stay consistent. When you celebrate your own progress, your clients will now start noticing the daily work rather than the grand outcome. And this is something in my particular line of work that is really important, because if I show up with a deliverable for a client, and let's say it's like draft one of their website, and I'm like, oh, we have so much more work to do. This just isn't even close to done yet. Like, if I'm showing up with that kind of energy, what do you think they're thinking? Like, they're probably thinking, like, come on now, where's my fucking website? Like, I don't want to wait anymore. But instead, if I'm like, here's draft one, we're making incredible progress. This is looking so good. Now we have a better understanding of XYZ offer. Let's have a new conversation about the direction of the rest of the website. Like when you approach the process from this sort of place of like strategic gratitude for the daily work that you're putting in, your clients will reflect that back to you. They'll start focusing on the daily things instead of being like, oh, I bought a 6-month program and on week 2, I'm frustrated that I don't have the result yet. And as the business owner, that's really frustrating for you too, right? You don't want someone to purchase something that's supposed to take them 6 months to achieve. And in 2 weeks, they're feeling like, I don't even want to do the work anymore, right? It diminishes the value of what you're bringing to the table. You feel less connected to it, less excited about it. So how you approach your own journey and the gratitude that you set in play, it ripples out to everything else. When you connect with your own process, your joy, the gratitude, the ability to just honor those tiny wins every single day, your clients will start doing the same thing. When you stop looking for these like overnight results, guess what? They stop looking for them too. Instead, they're like, what are we going to do tomorrow that's going to move the needle just like 1 more degree? They get excited about the process rather than impatient about the result. They'll stop comparing themselves to everyone else. They'll stop feeling like they're late to the game. And because of this, because of that shift, they'll start trusting the work more. They'll start trusting themselves more. And they'll start trusting you on a deeper level because there's a connection of like this sense of understanding that it does take time to reach the levels that you're wanting to go to, right? It does take time to get to these goals and to get to these results. Things don't just happen overnight. So let's reframe gratitude a little bit as we're diving into this holiday season. If you happen to be listening to this live, gratitude, it doesn't have to be soft. It can be really, really strategic because it grounds you. It keeps your brand really rooted in what matters. And it, most importantly, trains your nervous system to feel safe in that sense of growing because you know that it's at a sustainable pace that you have set for yourself. And your clients, they can feel this because honestly, they're not really just buying your processes, they're buying your relationship to your processes. When you're loving it, they're learning to love theirs. When you're grateful, they're learning to become more and more grateful. This is what brand leadership looks like. This is how you lead in your industry, right? It all starts with you. So, something tangible that you can do this week, because I know this is very like, oh, we're talking about gratitude. And I'm not saying like just go out and meditate for a couple minutes and then boom, you're grateful. That is a form of gratitude, right? Quiet, taking a moment to yourself. But it can also be really strategic and it can be very tangible for your business. And this is how I do it. I've been doing this. I find myself on like Saturdays or Sundays usually. I'll open up my phone and I do this sort of pause and progress check in. Now, the pause part is really about stepping out of production mode. So when I'm pausing and I'm looking at my week ahead, like from a distance, right? You get sort of this overarching view of what's coming ahead in the week. I'm not looking at it from a place of like, oh my gosh, I have to deliver this, and this to all these clients and stressing myself out. Instead, I'm stepping out of production mode. I'm looking at my calendar a week at a time, maybe a month. It really depends how you like to look at your stuff. I only go about a week at a time. I'll pull up my Google Calendar. I'm adding things in, I'm removing things, I'm refining like some start times for stuff. I'm getting really intentional about how I want to spend my week ahead. I don't want to dive into every day of the week being like, well, I don't know what the fuck's about to happen. Let me just see what pops up on my calendar. I've lived life like that and it's stressful. So pausing and getting this overarching view of what your week is about to look like is really super helpful. And just like breathe in these moments and be really grateful for the stuff that is on your calendar, right? Don't be beating yourself up about not having enough client calls or enough client deliverables scheduled or any of that stuff. Be really grateful and take some deep breaths about what your week ahead is going to look like. And then I'll start to acknowledge. I'll do a little reflective moment from the past week. So I'll look for things like, what was working last week? What did I do a little bit different? Did I maybe take a break in the middle of one of my days and I went for a walk? Did I make sure and cook myself a really delicious lunch one day? Did I pause and have like an offline, had to do nothing with work kind of conversation? Maybe I had a new conversation about a collaboration. Like, what were the things that happened in the past week that worked really well for your business, maybe grew your business a little bit and felt really good? And then how can you do more of that? How can you build more of that into your week ahead, which you just looked at, right? Find these pockets of time to do more things that feel really good, grow your business, and worked really well in the week past. And then the last thing I'm looking at is, what kind of progress can I make in the week ahead? What is something small that I can look at next week, not fix, not overhaul, just nurture, just look at, become a little more familiar with, become a little more aware. Here's an example for you. I just had a new client, or a potential new client, booking a call with me. And I realized in my automated workflow that I really thought I had emails in there, but I only had text message reminders. So that means this person who booked a call didn't get any emails. They only got text message reminders. The problem with that is, if they don't give you your phone number, then they're not getting the text message either, which is exactly what happened. So I'm not perfect, right? I see these things happening. So now, instead of feeling this sense of like, oh, I totally fucked that up, I have this sense of urgency that I have to fix it right now. Instead, I'm looking at this problem, right? This issue, and going, okay, here's something that I can now nurture. Here's something that I now am more aware that it's probably not been an issue before, but for this person it was. So now let me nurture this a little bit. Let me go and fix it. Let me go and do a little bit of like tweaking to it. And it's not this huge overhaul. It's just a little bit of progress because it's something that I was able to notice and be aware enough to notice. When you keep this sort of energy in your business, this sort of very strategic kind of gratitude in your business, it stays aligned with growth rather than urgency. If you keep yourself in this sense of urgency that you have to get something done today, or this client is going to, drop off the face of the earth and you're going to hear from them again, that's so much stress. It's just really unhealthy for the way that you approach your business too. And that sense of urgency, that pressure, that fear, it is rippling out into your clients and they are feeling it too. So keep this really like strategic gratitude in your business, because it will keep you aligned to simply growing, making the changes that you need to make as you see them approach. There's no judgment, there's none of that. You do what needs to be done when you see it happen, and that's it. And you're grateful that you noticed it and that you're capable of making the adjustment, right? And here's the sort of like magical part to this. When you practice this strategic gratitude in this way, you naturally start inviting clients into this exact same rhythm. The work gets deeper, the energy gets lighter, and the transformation that you're helping them get compounds. It's so magical. And this is something that you have complete control over, which is so amazing, especially in this world where we have like next to no control when it comes to certain things, right? So your business is not a race. If you see other people out there that are like, they're where you want to be, awesome. There is no reason to sprint there. Instead, it's like, cool, I see that it's possible. I see that's where I'm headed. This is the direction. What's the thing that I can do today where I can really learn to love the process? And it's the daily work that's going to get me there, right? This is not a race. It's a relationship. It's something you're building. And the more love, the more attention, the more gratitude that you bring to this process, the more your clients will learn to honor their own. And that's how You end up building a business that feels really good to run, not just someday, today, and every day. If this episode hit home for you, feel free to share it with a friend, rate, review it, all the good things. I love to hear what you guys have to say about these types of conversations, and I hope that you have a fabulous week. I'll see you next time. Bye.